Here you are.
Thank you. I parted my lips and sipped the hot chocolate Gretel had kindly reheated for me.
Good girl. Well done.
Once I finished my drink, Gretel wiped the corners of my lips with his thumb. You sure came home quick. Did you actually go to school?
Of course I did. Where else would I go?
I don't know. Back home, maybe? I tilted my head.
I already explained this to you. This is our home now, sister.
I couldn't confirm or deny it. I just hung my head and refused to answer at all. It was one of few options available to me.
You lied to me, didn't you, sister?
No, I was very honest. Huh? I looked up to find Gretel's face suddenly very close to mine. I tried to flinch away, but he reached out and cupped both of my cheeks in his hands, preventing my escape.
Don't try to hide it. Someone came to the house while I was gone, didn't they?
I told you the truth. Yeah. I got the feeling there was no point in trying to deny it any further, so instead I came clean. But I told you the truth to begin with, hey!
And he fed you the bread roll.
Yeah. How did you know it was a he? I nodded timidly.
I see.
His tone was surprisingly calm. I blinked. You're not mad?
Would you like me to be?
No, of course not!
Truth be told, I'm positively furious on the inside. You could say I'm boiling with rage.
His affable smile didn't reach his eyes. It was so intimidating, I felt the urge to scoot the whole chair away from him, but couldn't.
But in this case, it was my fault. I was too lenient. If I'm going to keep you safe, I have to lock you up as tightly as possible.
But why? What are you trying to protect me from?
The demons.
Demons?
Correct.
So you think Mr. Wizard is a demon? But even though I named my visitor outright, Gretel didn't have much of a reaction at all.
You're very appetizing, so I have to keep you safe from the evil demons who would gobble you up.
What do you mean, gobble me up?
Well, for example...
He let go of my face and brushed my hair away. What are you doing?
Something like this.
Then he put a hand to my neck, slid the fabric to the side, and leaned in. Don't! I tried to pull away, but I was trapped. He grabbed both my shoulders to keep me from falling out of my chair. His breath tickled my neck, making me squirm. Ah! Then I flinched as his teeth gently grazed my skin.
So sweet.
His warm breath and wet teeth sent goosebumps prickling up my arms. Wait. It sounds like I need protection from you more than anything, so why are you so... Gosh, I don't understand. I don't understand your brain, man. I just don't.
Oh, sister, how sugary sweet you are. You're delectable.
The word stop caught in the back of my throat. Gretel pulled his lips away from my neck, and I slowly looked up at him. His smile was incredibly seductive.
Your skin's flushed, and your eyes are shimmering. This is all your fault. Your sweet scent lured me in.
Gretel? My heart thumped in my chest as I exhaled. Then I shook the thoughts from my mind and squeezed my eyes shut.
I give up.
Gretel? Instantly I snapped to my senses and my eyes flew open. Sure enough, my worst fears were confirmed. There stood Gretel, doubled over, laughing and clutching his sides. Were you just messing with me?
Oh, I absolutely was. I apologize.
Current mood, kill me now! Is it fun, humiliating me at every single opportunity?
Sure is.
He answered without batting a lash. Rage and humiliation welled in my chest until I was practically shaking. I was on the verge of hulking out and shredding these restraints. Oh, I wish you would. That'd be the best ending ever.
Oh, and for the record, I was just reciting lines from that bodice ripper I found in your room.
That's rude. Bodice ripper? For a moment I stared at him slack-jawed, but then I realized what he meant. A certain steamy Harlequin novel. I mean, obviously that's what he meant. All at once I exploded with volcanic rage. You read my book?!
Indeed I did. I found it by chance while looking for a dictionary, tucked behind the other books on the shelf. And you'd put a cover on it, too.
Clearly, he could tell I'd been trying to hide it. But as I writhed in embarrassment, something occurred to me. So, everything you said just now was from that book?
Technically, the book was just my inspiration. I put my own spin on it.
God, why didn't I realize sooner?
I figured maybe that was the kind of thing you were into. And sure enough, it was super effective. I mean, just think about it. Wouldn't it just be cringy if I actually meant all that stuff?
It's not what you think! I bought it for the cover art. I didn't know it had that kind of content. I don't know what I was implying he was thinking, but I jumped to my own defense nonetheless.
The cover? Oh, you mean that shaggy-haired prince or duke or butler or patissier or whatever, hugging that airheaded princess chick.
That's a fair bit of our boys, actually. We got Kaguya the butler. We got Gretel the patissier. Prince could be Cinderella. No policeman in there. Fake or otherwise. That would leave... Well, the prince isn't necessarily Cinderella. It could be Alice. We don't know much about Alice yet. Anyway, just like,
You claim you were tricked into buying it, and yet you seem to have read it quite heavily.
Ah! I screamed to drown out his voice.
Is that your type, sister? The male lead is a snarky, contrarian asshole who imprisons the heroine. How could anyone fall for a loser like that?
As much as I wanted to say, have you looked in the mirror lately? It would make it sound like I bought the book because the male lead resembled Gretel, and I didn't want to dig my grave any deeper. Did you? I'm just tired. As I endured the shame, Gretel leaned in to whisper the final blow.
This completes your punishment.
I'm sick of you! I'm never speaking to you again! This is your punishment for toying with my pure innocent heart! I rose to my feet, dashed to the bed, and dove onto it. Then I buried my face into the sheet so I wouldn't have to look at him. After all, he'd just point out how red my face was and make fun of me some more.
Sister.
The mattress creaked as Gretel sat down onto it.
Please don't be mad at me, sister. I apologize for taking my joke too far.
He shook me gently by the shoulder. But I ignored him. It's too late for you to try to take the high road now, bucko. Then my talented little adopted brother. Now her mind has switched to adopted brother. Switched to a new, more annoying strategy.
Sister. Sister. Big sister. Sis. Big sis. Sister dearest.
I kept ignoring him. After all, I wasn't that easily bought.
Elder sister. Sissy. Big sis. Esteemed sister. Honored sister. Beloved sister. Revered sister. Eureka.
Ooh. That got my attention. What do you want? I replied in a snippy tone to hide how delighted I was to hear him say my name.
Strange. I thought you weren't going to speak to me anymore.
I turned away sharply.
Come on, I'm just messing with you. Don't turn away.
What's the magic word? He hesitated for a moment, then...
Let me see that pretty face.
Another cheesy line from the Harlequin novel. Good enough. I giggled in spite of myself. When our eyes met, he smiled softly. But that smile was fleeting.
I've noticed.
Notice what?
No matter what I say, no matter what I do, you'll simply never stop loving me, will you? Are you... a masochist?
Excuse me? Couldn't you have said you're very patient or something instead? No, I mean, he's right. This goes beyond that. You're definitely a masochist at this point. What? But before I could snap back at him, he placed a hand over my eyes.
Don't look at me like that, sister.
Gretel?
Otherwise, I might just...
You can't just stop there and then be like,
Gretel and I were not blood related.
Okay, I will admit that makes this a smidge better. And by smidge, I mean like the tiniest millimicron, as Alice would say. And that's it. That's as much of a smidge as you're getting from me. Everything else, not okay. Gretel and I were not blood related. We were free to date, or even get married if we wanted. Emphasis on if we wanted. Uh-huh. Go on. I don't see a problem with it, but everyone else would probably look at you funny. Yeah. We're legally brother and sister, after all. Okay, so... step-family situation. Or... we did say adopted, so we adopted him? It's not... There's only a year difference between... Okay, let's keep going. That morning I was walking to college with Wolf, explaining the events of the night prior. He was my confidant, one of few trusted friends who knew all about the situation with me, Gretel, and Ryoshi. Hence, I often turned to him for advice and offered it up in return. As for Gretel, he left the house ahead of me today. Apparently, he didn't want to risk crossing paths with Ryoshi. To be clear, I get where you're coming from. For siblings, we're abnormally close. Although, it'd still be weird even if you were dating. I frowned and tilted my head inquiringly. Wasn't hanging all over each other 24/7 the whole point of dating? Oh, but for the record, you're more than welcome to get all buddy-buddy with me. He spread his arms wide to offer me a hug. No thanks, but I appreciate the thought. He keeps trying. I shrugged him off without missing a beat.
Man, I had no idea things between Ryoshi and Gretel were so awkward.
But Wolf didn't take offense. Instead, he returned to the topic at hand. Yeah, there's this palpable distance between them. It's hard to describe. Like they hold each other at arm's length.
How long has it been like that?
Right from day one.
For reals?
He shook his head in disbelief. For reals.
But you guys are supposed to be family, right?
Supposed to be, yeah. But Ryoshi doesn't approve of how much I like Gretel.
Maybe he's just jealous of somebody stealing his little sister away.
He laughed and I laughed with him. But we were laughing for two very different reasons. As cute as that sounds, I don't think it's that. If Ryoshi liked me that much, you'd think he'd spoil me rotten.
Well, even if he's not jealous, he's still gotta be worried about you two living together unsupervised, right? I mean, you're his actual baby sister.
His actual sister. Yes, Ryoshi and I were real siblings, related by blood. I know we don't look alike, we get that a lot. Gretel was the only member of my family who lacked those ties. He was a foreign presence.
Come to think of it, does Grumpy even know he was adopted?
Nope.
What?
He's not supposed to, at least. As far as I know, he thinks we're his real family. Interesting. When did you adopt him? But sometimes I feel like maybe he's figured it out. Oh, he's 100% figured it out. If he's half as smart as he was in Cinderella's route, he's figured it out.
Huh? What's the story there?
He blinked at me in surprise. To me, it seems like he knows the truth, but just pretends not to. That would make sense, considering he has so much emphasis on the word sister. He's always so distant with Ryoshi, and he never really talks about our parents. That said, Mom and Dad are really hands-off with us, which is probably the root issue if you think about it. But also, it's possible some jerk went and told Gretel behind our backs. It's not exactly the world's best-kept secret, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even I know.
Exactly. I looked up at the sky and let out another heavy sigh. Honestly, I should try to act more like a big sister.
Aw, I think you're doing just fine, Arisu.
But if I was doing better, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
True.
Wolf's blunt honesty was one of many reasons why I trusted him as much as I did. Do you think Gretel's figured out how I feel?
Not sure, dude. He's a smart guy and all, but if he thinks you're brother and sister, he's not gonna suspect that you're in love with him.
So you did buy that Harlequin novel because he reminded you of Gretel. And if he did put two and two together, he'd be creeped out.
I mean, most people would be.
Most people, yeah. But Gretel was not most people. So maybe there was a chance he would accept the secret feelings in my heart. But even then, it wouldn't work out. As happy as it would make me, it would only make him miserable. It would be all too easy to explain to him that we're not related, but doing so would destroy him. Granted, this is just my personal hypothesis, but I think I'm the only one he actually sees as family.
Really? Just you?
Yeah. I'm the only one who lives at the house with him, and I do all the housework. Normally that's something a parent would do, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So functionally speaking, I'm both his older sister and his mom. Can you see where I'm going with this?
So you're basically the dictator of his life?
Yes, exactly. He feels pressured to obey my wishes.
Really? 'Cause he sure doesn't act that way.
He grinned at me like the twerp he was. I can't even argue with that. For a moment I faltered, but then I quickly recovered. Basically, I'm his ideal older sister. Beautiful, kind, fit and sexy, perky, smart, handy in the kitchen.
Whoa! I don't know where you got your confidence, but I'm loving it!
I'm just repeating what Gretel said, that's all. Last night, Gretel told me he bases all his standards on me, and I don't think that's healthy.
Why not? Isn't that exactly what you want? Aren't you in love with him?
I nodded without hesitation. Yes, my love for him is romantic. I could never say it to his face, but somehow I could say it to a third party just fine. But our love can never be. Remember how we agreed I'm the dictator of his life? From Gretel's perspective, whatever I say goes. And if this power structure exists both inside and outside our home, then I'm essentially his whole world. Or, to put it more simply, he's too dependent on me. He sees me as someone who will always be there to protect him. The second I try to tell him that I love him in a romantic way, he'll lose the only family he has. His guiding principles, his support network, gone. It'll ruin his life.
You sure he's that fragile?
In my opinion, yeah. That said, we're the ones who made him that way. Mostly me for coddling him. So, okay, new theory. Did she eventually work up the courage to admit everything and then he did lose it and is now trying to turn her into his sister? I mean, the power dynamic is completely opposite of what she's describing here. I just don't know. Ultimately, this was the result of placing him into an environment where one person was overprotective and everyone else was neglectful. I just hope it doesn't come back to bite us one day.
Dude, why not just ease up on the overprotective thing?
Dude, it's not that simple. Ah! The dude disease is spreading! Anyway, sorry for ranting.
Nah, man, it's no problem. What are friends for, you know? Like my grandma always says, a friend in need is a friend indeed.
Is your grandma still around? You're the best, Wolf. We exchanged a high five.
Pretty dreamy, aren't I?
Not really. Just deflation.
Aw, man.
I love you, Wolf. You're a cool kid. I shook my head and he slumped his shoulders in defeat. Don't worry. I'll be there for you whenever you need me to.
Ooh, for reals? In that case, could I get your help with something?
Sure. What's up? I responded without missing a beat. Then he turned to me and said, with a perfectly straight face, oh no.
Your brother has tarnished my honor, and I humbly ask that you restore it.
Oh, right, that. I glanced around and noticed a few students, probably the same ones from yesterday, pointing at Wolf and snickering. All thanks to that slanderous message Gretel had taped to his back. I fell to my knees, a hand clasped over my chest. I have failed you, my lord!
What? You didn't even try!
Well... Once we arrived at college, I followed my usual routine. Go to class, eat lunch, and leave as soon as my last lecture was over. Then I went to Gretel's community college and waited outside the front gates for him. But that day...
Hey, lady.
A group of male students approached me. How can I help you? I greeted them with a smile, but internally I was on guard. Why, you ask? Because everything about their appearance screamed delinquent, from their messy uniforms to their brightly dyed hair.
Say, are you Eureka Arisu?
They sneered at me as they looked me up and down. Yep, that's me. I had a feeling I knew what was coming.
Is it true you and Gretel aren't actually related? Dude, stop!
But I could hear the laughter in their voices. Did you ask him that too?
Huh?
You heard me. Answer the question. I continued to smile brightly, but my tone was firm, letting them know I meant business. Evidently, they had expected me to get more flustered than this because they seemed to panic.
Maybe we did. So what?
A third boy joined the conversation. I'll punch you in the face, that's what! I swung a punch into empty air as a warning. Younger than me or not, I wasn't going to offer them a shred of mercy. Not that violence was the answer, but surely I could get away with an empty threat. At this, the boys burst out laughing. For a moment I considered actually punching them, but I held myself back. It didn't matter if they wanted to laugh and poke fun at me, but at this rate, Gretel would be impacted too. Hey, you.
What?
I addressed the boy who had originally called out to me. I figured he was probably the leader of the group. Come here a sec. I donned a smile and beckoned to him. He looked at me cautiously, so I grabbed him by the hand and pulled him close. Look deep into my eyes. As he squinted at me dubiously, I cupped his face in both hands, holding his head firmly in place.
What?
He struggled to pull himself away, but I stomped down onto his foot to calm him down.
Ow! The hell was that for?
Oh, sorry. Violence really wasn't the answer, but there were times when it was necessary, and now was one of those times. I leaned in close. His eyes widened until I could see my reflection in them. There we go. Now look closely, and don't avert your eyes. He could probably feel my breath against his face with every word I spoke. Then I saw him start to blush, and I gloated internally. No matter how tough and cool he thought he was still just a naive little boy on the inside. Now, picture Gretel's face.
Okay.
Don't you think we look alike? His hair, for example. He's got the same thick, wavy hair as me. See this? This is our natural hair. Wakarimashita ka? He furrowed his brow, almost like he didn't understand Japanese or something. Do you see what I'm getting at? So I repeated myself in English. I'm gonna need an answer out of you or you're not going anywhere. He smacked my hands away. Good. Glad we have an understanding. I grinned. Behind him, one of his friends shouted at us to get a room, and he whirled around to yell at them. I felt bad for humiliating him, but at least now they would hopefully leave Gretel the hell alone. Just then.
Sister, what are you doing?
A bone-chilling, icy voice called out from behind me. Oh! Hi, Gretel! I turned to find him standing there, smiling brightly. Then his gaze drifted from me to the group of guys.
And what are you people doing hassling my sister?
His tone was carefully restrained. Yet the utter lack of intonation only made him sound more unhinged.
Nothing. We didn't do nothing, right? Right.
With that, the delinquents backed away from me and hurried off. Something about their sudden departure felt strange. I snuck a glance at Gretel beside me.
Oh.
His sigh made me flinch. Are you mad?
Why, yes, I suppose I am.
I could hear it in his voice. And yet, at the same time, I was just glad to hear him expressing his emotions at all.
Good grief. You ought to just ignore those creeps. Don't egg them on.
Ignoring them won't work, Gretel. They're your classmates, right? Or are they friends of yours?
Friends? As if. They're just big fish in a small pond. I don't pay them any mind.
Well, alright then.
So, were they harassing you?
Not really. I think maybe they were trying to hit on me. This was obviously a lie, tossed out on the spur of the moment.
Oh yeah.
His response was so flat I got the feeling he'd seen right through it. Should I stop waiting for you out here? My heart ached as I thought back to what Wolf had said. Helicopter mom. He was completely right, of course. And if I kept up my helicoptering, Gretel might start to think I didn't trust him.
I've been dealing with this crap for a long time now, sister. It doesn't get to me. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Now let's go home, where we belong.
He took my hand and started walking. As I gazed at him, I contemplated my next move. Get kidnapped and put in a birdcage in the forest.
I'm going to.
He pushed me down on the bed and grabbed my ankle. Ah! What's going on? How many times are you going to climb on top of me? I swear, I'm not enjoying this. No, really. I struggled to escape, but he had a firm grip on my leg. Will you fight back? It's been a while since I've had to deal with, again, Dario of this caliber. I'm, trying to see into the Matrix and remember the plays. I think in the, there's some instances where you have to go along with their nutso-ness. I don't think now is that time. I think... Here we go.
Settle down, please. I can see your panties.
You monster!
Yes, whatever you say. I'm a monster, I know. Relax. I'm not going to have my way with you.
Stupid jerk! I hate you! He lifted my leg into the air, took out a green ribbon, and tied it around my ankle. What's that?
Can't you tell? It's a ribbon. Cute, isn't it?
It's not cute, it's demonic! Is it? Granted, appearance-wise, it looked like any ordinary ribbon, and in that sense, it was very pretty indeed. But he was using it for some less than pretty purposes! He held the ends of the ribbon in his hands, almost like a bridge between himself and me. Based on the number of times he was wrapping it around my leg, however, this was one really long ribbon. What are you doing?
I bought it just for you, sister. I gave it a lot of thought, too. I wanted to choose a color that would suit you. At first, I was leaning white, but I honestly can't stand the color white, you know? So in the end, I chose a color I liked. You don't mind, do you? I really love green. It's a very soothing color.
Yeah, it's like the complete opposite of you. He spoke so quickly I couldn't get a single word in edgewise.
I was very particular about the material as well. This is silk, you know. Doesn't it feel nice? It was quite expensive. As you can see, it matches the one on your wrist. Oh right, you can't see that. What a shame.
What are you going to do with the other half?
What do you think?
Truth be told, I knew the answer. I just really wanted to be wrong.
All I need to do is tie you to this birdcage and we'll be set.
Oh no, not again! Not like this again! So you're using it as a shackle?
Ding ding ding, correct.
His sunny smile was really starting to piss me off. Starting again.
I bet you're thinking you'll be able to escape, aren't you? Well, think again. Because it won't be easy, let me assure you.
He smirked sadistically at me. In response, I hit him with my best comeback. Funny, I don't remember any BDSM in that Harlequin novel.
This is a faithful adaptation, if you ask me. The only difference is that we won't be having sex.
That's a huge difference! Stop this! I mean it! My tone grew uncharacteristically sharp.
Relax. I'll make it a shoelace knot so it'll be easy to untie later.
That's not what I'm worried about! Now I was shouting. The smile vanished from his face.
Then what exactly is the issue? Do you have a problem with the two of us living here?
I hate these choices. I hate these yes-no choices. It's like balancing on a tightrope made of glass over a pit of lava eels. Okay, this time, no. My physical endangerment is not at issue, quotation marks, even though my emotional mental state is. No, dear brother, of course not. I love spending time with you, and only you. No, that's not it. I'm angry because you constantly disregard my right to autonomy.
Autonomy, huh?
There was a pregnant pause.
Is that all it takes to rob you of your autonomy? Some wrist restraints.
Confused, I furrowed my brow. Suppressing the impatience I felt, I willed myself to stay calm. Listen, Gretel. We're going to be living here together, right?
Yes, that's right.
And yet you expect me to stay tied up the whole time? No free will of my own? Don't you think maybe it's a little inhumane to take the power of choice away from me?
Perhaps so. But let me ask you this. If you want your freedom so badly, don't you think you need to earn it?
What do you mean?
Today, you disobeyed me and let a total stranger into our house. Isn't that right?
Well, yeah, but... My words faltered. He was right. I mean, who is that guy anyway? You know him, right?
No idea. It's a mystery to me, too.
Wait, what? I blinked.
I don't know who he is or what he's got up his sleeve. But he's useful to me, so I'll make use of him. End of story.
Okay, so you've interacted. And made some kind of deal, I'm assuming, again? Okay. I fell silent. He was so desperate to imprison me, he accepted assistance from someone he couldn't be sure he could trust.
Given how clever you are, I imagine you've already started to piece together exactly where we are.
I paused to think about it. A summer home somewhere? He didn't answer. Instead, he smiled knowingly. But I wanted to get some kind of response out of him, so I decided to tell him everything I'd worked out. It's been 2 days since I first got here. Or maybe longer, since I don't know what day of the week it is. You claim you've been going to school, but to me it feels like you come home way too quickly. You probably haven't been going to school at all, have you? What have you been doing out there, Gretel?
Your brilliant mind never ceases to amaze me, sister.
He stared out into space for a moment. His expression seemed almost sad. Now I was starting to worry. Come on, Gretel. Talk to me. I can tell you're doing all this for a reason, and it's important to you. But is this really the only way?
If I had any other option, I would have taken it by now.
But surely you realize this can't last forever? His gaze faltered for a moment, then returned to me. You know that, right? If the rest of the family finds out we ran away from home and stopped going to school, They're going to come looking for us.
No, they won't.
He shot back coldly.
Those people have abandoned us.
Abandoned us?
Yeah, I said it.
I paused to think. Was it possible? Could they have actually abandoned us? Do you believe Gretel? No. There was just no way it could be true. Not that my family would never abandon us, but rather I got the sense that Gretel was keeping me in the dark about a lot of things.
I don't really care if you believe me or not. I'm not taking orders from anyone. I'm going to do exactly what I want.
He rose to his feet and tied the ribbon to the bird cage in the center of the room.
I do so love to see you all wrapped up like a gift.